Hello, everyone. I know it's all kinds of crazy. I'm just about to get myself started. All of a sudden, Wave is just trying to do me dirty. Ah, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Audrey Condor. I am the owner of ACG Math Tutoring and the founder of You Can Tutor. Now, I was on here live Wednesday morning talking about special ed for people that have kids that are going to private and parochial schools. And let me tell you guys, the more that you speak on things, the more that people are going to join up. Because all of a sudden, I got a new client that said, I saw your video and I just didn't know. I didn't know. I thought all I could get was an IEP and that's it. Now I got my child on a 504 just because of your video. I don't know, guys. I feel that if you have something to speak and you have like some kind of expertise, you should be speaking up on it. Hey, everyone. Hello and welcome in. So I'm coming a little bit later. One, I'm checking on some times to see what will work. It's great that there's some people that come, in the morning, but I think sometimes the evenings might work best. But today, I kind of want to talk about something that I saw on the news earlier this morning, and I just felt like we are still working on this, as I like to call it, chasing that math dragon. So if you're here live, hit hashtag live. If you're going to watch the replay, hit hashtag replay because of the algorithm. You're going to help me out a little bit. So I'm living in Baltimore, Maryland, just in case some people want to come and visit. Hey, why not? And we were just watching, we had like some kind of rainstorm, and my whole thing was they were talking about how Baltimore City is still low when it comes to math equivalency. Like we still just can't get it done. I remember a couple years back, I actually made a post about there was like 10 to 13 schools that scored a goose egg on the math equivalency. But of course, this was happening right after the pandemic. A lot of kids didn't even remember their middle names, more or less how they're going to have to solve an equation line, or they had to do a whole lot of prepping. So that first year, I can understand they were still kind of getting in the flow of it. But then I'm noticing the numbers are still declining. I think fourth grade actually went up back in 2023, but that's basically it. It was just like a little glimpse. And then I kept saying, it seems to me that they keep chasing after this dream. And it all started. And that's what's the best thing about me being your math auntie, because I have seen most of the changes that had occurred, especially for Maryland, that really boost a lot of things up. And we still keep chasing after this dream, all because of a small tweak. So, this is what happened. Back in the day, before we had Common Core, we had something called the HSAs, the high school assessments, right? So the kids will always have to come in. Years ago, they used to have two for math. They used to have one for Algebra 1, that was the ninth graders, and they used to have a Geometry 1 for 10th graders. See, this is how old I am. And I remember when they stopped doing the Geometry 1 and they just wanted to focus everything on the Algebra 1. So then on top of it, they said, you know what, we shouldn't give it to the freshmen because a lot of them are not really ready yet. So we should really have them take it their sophomore year, Kaylee. So take it their sophomore year. And they're like, oh. So then they shifted everything to Algebra 1 taking their sophomore year. But then this is what happened. People were taking the test, scores were going up and down. We had some people had to do packets in order to try to like do some remediation to really get it so they can pass, right? But here's the kicker. Back in 2017, I remember, I think I was a City Neighbors at that time. So back in 2017, they decided to make a change to the test because they noticed that a lot of the kids, when they were taking the exam, they will skip this section called the ECRs and the BCRs. So ECRs mean extended constructive responses, and BCRs were brief constructive responses. It's when you actually had to work out the problems and do it step by step and show your work. But here is the problem. The kids hated doing it. They hated showing their work. They rather say, give me the multiplication or give me the multiple choice parts. Let me do my B, B, C, C, B, and do my little guessing. And let me do what I got to do just to get this over and done with. But they decided back in 2017, we're going to make a change because we are going to eventually change the whole scheme of the test and try to push it a little bit more so it'll be more college ready. Here's the thing. They decide to get rid of the ECRs and the BCRs. So it's basically just a multiple choice test. So let's be smart for a moment. Ready? A lot of people, all of a sudden, when you get rid of, and I like to call it the outlier. So the outlier is the extreme high or the extreme lowest grade and messed up everyone and messed up all the other scores. If you get rid of the outlier, so, what are we talking about? We're talking about us chasing this math monster. Getting to the story. So, back in 2017, they decided to change the HSA exam. So, they got rid of the section that the students hated to do. A lot of them would just straight up skip it. They just skip it all together. So, when you get rid of the outlier, what do you think the scores are going to do? They're going to go up. And that was the year of 2018 that the scores went up like a bullet, right? Just like shoot up in there. And everybody is like high-fiving. It was like a great year to be a math teacher. All right. Everybody's like, oh my God, the scores are amazing. High-five it. Yeah, you're amazing. You're awesome. You're the best teacher ever. Okay. And then of course people were coming to me like, Audrey, give me some. And I'm like, no, you're stupid. I was very friendly back then because I told the truth. Here's the thing. If you get rid of the outlier, the scores are obviously going to go up. So then the following year, they put the ECRs and BCRs in. They're like, the kids will do fine. Everything will be great. And the scores were not the same. Like it was too intense of a huge rise that it was in the newspaper. Oh my goodness, every news channel, regular TV, everybody was talking about what is going on. Look at all these scores. I've never seen scores like this ever. Well, if you get rid of the outliers and you're dealing with everything with the mean, what do you think the mean is going to do? Hi, intro to statistics people. What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, scores are going to go up. And ever since then, we have been chasing after, as I like to call this math dragon. We've been chasing after these scores. And then, of course, some of my friends will say, well, Audrey, the kids are coming to school and a lot of the teachers left because, after the pandemic, a lot of teachers decided to leave. Right, because of all the craziness that was going on, trying to keep up, trying to keep their mental sanity. It was nuts. And it still is nuts. And I don't think it will ever get back to whatever we thought was the norm because that's gone. Now we have to have a new norm. So when we had that change, it just seems like every year we want to get to those scores again. We want to get to those scores again. And guess what? You will never get to those scores again because the test is not exactly the same. People don't realize it, how huge of an impact that made. And then the following year, they decided to do the MCATs, especially for the middle school kids. And that was the year that I heard middle school kids because we shared a building with middle school kids and with the high schoolers. And the middle school kids and the teachers were crying, crying. I have never seen kids. First of all, I've never seen the kids outside the classroom. They're like running out of the classrooms, hiding in little corners and crying because they're like, we don't know what's on this test. I feel dumb. I don't know what's going on. And this is why you're just like trying to break the kids psychologically. And it's not fair. Like now we're testing Like almost every time you turn around, we're testing. We got iReady. Now they're expanding their testing to like go to Delta Math and IXL and again with iReady and this other one called Alex. And they're doing all these things because we keep chasing after that dragon. It's almost like we had that fix once and we want to feel that same feeling again. And it's not going to happen. And I think a lot of people are just feeling like, oh, because it's our kids are dumb. No, they're not. Because if you ask your kids, and this is what happens to a lot of my students, when you ask them, how is school? They'll say fine. But then ask them, how's the pace of your class? And they will say, I learned like 2 lessons today and I really don't know what they are. And like, let me see your notes. They'll either say, oh, I had to leave my notes in school because they don't want us to take the notes home. Okay, well, you took a test. Like, when you're going to get the test scores back? Well, they said the grade is going to be online. Yeah, but how do you know what you did wrong so we can correct it? A lot of people don't want that because they reuse the test over and over again, which is perfectly fine. But how are the kids going to get the feedback? So it's like we keep trying and pushing, and we're putting all of this pressure on those math teachers. Especially, it's hard to be a math teacher. I'm sorry. It's hard to be a math teacher. I'm not saying it's any less, but we're dealing with structure. Like math is its own entity. It's its own language. But everyone keeps trying to put us in this bubble, and they're like, dude, you're not the ones to put us in the bubble. Math has its own branch. That's it. Case closed. So when it comes down to constantly trying to chase after the score, and if we don't reach that score, oh, our kids are horrible, or our teachers are terrible. Yeah, you should quit. You should do this. You should do that. Sometimes we're forcing people out. We don't need to force anybody out. So it's kind of like, when can we go back to teaching for instruction, for application, for growth? And everybody's like, yeah, that's what we're supposed to be doing. I'm like, yeah, but right now we're pushing for testing. I feel that we talk so much about testing than actually like, how are the kids learning? Like, how are they advancing? How are they applying what they're learning into a real life situation? And I know it's always hard with math because a lot of kids will be like, why do I need to learn algebra? I'm never doing algebra because parents are saying, I've never used algebra a day in my life. So why should I do this now? Well, algebra kind of helps you to think outside the box. Now, when you're thinking outside the box, now you can get into situations and you can figure things out. You don't realize that you do math each and every day. Just because I don't put it in an x plus 2y equals z kind of equation doesn't mean that you're not doing math. Me speaking into the internet and sharing this stuff with you, that's mathematics. Making a decision using logic, that's mathematics. Okay, trying to figure out the time zones and trying to get from point A to point B, looking at your phone, looking at a calendar, all that is mathematics. So please, if you are a parent, like, just be gentle with your kid because there is so much pressure. There's so much stress in order for them to achieve a certain score. But when they achieve that score, okay, great. Congratulations. Now what are you going to do with it? How are you going to apply it? How are you going to grow from it? How are you going to progress and be an independent learner? That's what we want our kids to be, not chasing after this particular score. Oh, okay, so you know how to do this, so that means you can graduate. All right, but I know we need to have standards, and I know we need to do this, but it's not because, oh, Baltimore City is very poor, because, oh, all the teachers are leaving. If you do your research, okay, I'm going to kind of move around, like, say, 2023. I'm not going to touch on 2021 because we were still transitioning from COVID. Give it a couple of years, right? So around 2023, if you want to look at the highest rate of teachers leaving, wasn't in Baltimore City. No, it was Dorchester. It was Carroll County. It was Allegheny County. It was Prince George's County and Montgomery County. Nowhere near Baltimore City. So we have hardworking teachers, but here's the thing, they're there each and every day. But I know for sure, and I'm not speaking to the parents that we always see and we always hear from. I'm speaking to the parents that are scrolling. I'm speaking to the parents that are always not around, only time when it's time for the prom or when it's time for graduation, or they get upset to know that their child is not graduating. That's the only time we see them. I'm talking to those parents. We need your support. I know you want your child to make money, but why chase after change when you can go after full on stacks and legal stacks? Why not teach your kid how to think outside? Why not have their creativity? Because artists, poets, nerds are taking over the world. Hello, how many examples do you need? So these are the people that we need to feed into them. We need to have them understand that education is important. Education and using math. Don't say, oh, I was never good at math, so you're not going to be good at math. Baby, it is not genetic. I sucked at math completely. I'm not even going to sit here and not be transparent. When I saw a fraction, I cried. Word problem, I was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. I just didn't understand. And then all of a sudden there was numbers and letters called algebra. I couldn't even pronounce algebra at the time. But because I was like, all right, this is something that's here. I got to learn it. Let me see if I can understand it. I didn't understand fractions until I was 25. I was working at a local public school. I was working for the special ed department. I was an instructional assistant. And I'm sitting in a class filled with 45 students. Okay. Then there was a teacher. She was just like, okay, guys, let's work on this fraction. Guys, fractions is nothing but division. She said that. My mind was like, oh my God. Just that one phrase. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I can handle fractions. I don't know why. I don't know why all of a sudden that just dawned on me. 25. Hey, Bobster, like seriously, 25. I was 25 years old, basically going to therapy every time I turned around because I didn't understand. And it took that woman for that moment, and we're still friends, for her to say that, and I just totally understood it. We don't know when all this stuff is going to click for our kids. So just because, and I'll speak to the students right now, just because you're not getting it right here, right now, doesn't mean that you will never get it. Hello, I was 25 and I figured out fractions, and I'm like, this is so awesome. Because now my mind isn't so cluttered like I have to pass this test, I have to pass this class, I have to have my good grades so I can play basketball, I have to have all this stuff done, I have to be a great daughter, I have to be a great representative of my race. It's a lot, because you don't know what these kids are going through. They want attention, but they don't want certain type of attention. They want to say, ooh, cool pen, cool backpack, love those shoes. Oh, you're fancy. They want that type of attention. They don't want, you're dumb. What are you doing in this class? Ew, you're raising your hand. You know you shouldn't be here. They don't want that type of attention. No one does. And trust me, kids are cruel. They are cruel to the bones. But when we're doing and sitting and trying to understand math, and this is why I've tried to go live in the afternoons. I go live on TikTok and I do break down some concepts. And I'm starting to talk to more other people on TikTok that do their live presentations of mathematics. And I met this one lady who is amazing, Impact Math 19. Definitely check her out. I've been following her for a minute. And it just seems like there's so many people that want to help. There's so many people that really invested their time and energy to be math educators. And we really want to break these concepts down. But here's my thing, it's so different to learn math because you can feel that you can make a connection with it and you have the time for it to marinate compared to what's going on with the curriculum today. It's too fast. Okay? It's too fast. It's too fast, too intensive. It like you're not giving the kids time to really one get some feedback, like real feedback. Like every Friday, I used to like if we took a test on Thursday, I was one of those teachers that I graded and the very next day, let's talk about it. Because I like to give my kids feedback. And I used to have a feedback form that showed what the class average was, what was the most questions that was missed. And I will pull my students out. I'm like, all right, guys, I want you to do this. Either you're going to sit and chill, but you're not going to make me crazy. But when I call you, I need for you to come back into the back of the room. And then I'm going to sit and I'm going to talk to you individually. And I think that helped with the connection because I'm saying, look, I really believe that you can get this, but you need to get your notes together. You need to get your life together. You need to understand this. I need for less of the fooling around and more of the, hey, Miss Audrey, I think I got it. Can I try? And I would talk to the kids and I would walk them through their tests and they would have to write what they learned from our conversation and what are they going to apply, regardless if they're like, you know what, I really believe in that, or yeah, I'm just going to fill it out. But most of the time, the kids really did appreciate it. I gotta stop calling them kids, young men, young women, right? So they really did appreciate it. But then it's because I was that personality and I carried that personality into my tutoring program. And I do a lot of research. And it's to the point, guys, it's to the point I'm not even sleeping. I'm staying up. I'm constantly researching what would be better, what would be good, not only for me, but for other tutors. What would be good, not only for the students that I have, how about the students that will be mine? How about the students that I can possibly help another tutor help build their stuff up? That's me. And it's like sometimes it's hard to shut this down because I see how the injustice is playing a role. And I'm like, it's been like this for years. Half the stuff that's going on nowadays is not new. Do I believe that the Department of Education, especially for math, needs to get revamped? Hell yeah. How are we doing? Because there's times I was teaching at one school and I didn't know that I was teaching from two different curriculums. I'm supposed to be the teacher. Where's the guidance? And then when I do get guidance, it's like half-ass. And I'm like, I'm not a half-ass person. And I don't think my kids deserve a half-ass teacher. So I give my all to the point that it makes me exhausted. Like at the end of the day, thank God I don't have kids. Whew. If I did, oh my gosh, they'll be all going to therapy because I would not be able to spend any time with them because I get so consumed with helping people that sometimes I put myself on the back burner. But I'm learning. I'm learning. As I'm getting older, I'm learning. But when it comes to these tests, everyone is like, it's all about the test. I want my kid to go to the best school. I want my kid to go here. Okay, go to the best school to do what? Because the stuff that you can learn at Duke, you can learn at Towson, you can learn at CCBC. English 101 is exactly the same. All this is a different teacher. So it really comes down to what is the experience that you want to get? What is the experience that you want? You want your kid to be better, but you can't say, I want my kid to advance in school, but when they're home, don't try to act up in front of me. Can't have that. We got to figure something out. We got to figure out some kind of balance. But when it came down to all this, it's like we keep fighting for this level. Like we had that glimpse, like, oh, we've seen that before. Yes, we got those scores at that one time. Why can't we go back to that? Because it's not the same test. Once you realize that, once the powers that be realizes when you pull that outlier out, guess what? The scores are going to go up. It's basic statistics. So if you want the scores to go up, let's forget about the ECRs and BCRs. Well, we want to get everybody at college level. Well, not everybody wants to go to college. What are you trying to say, that if a kid goes to college, they're going to be successful? I know tons of people that went to college, and as soon as they graduated, what they do? They were waiters and waitresses, bartenders, worked in a movie theater. Yeah, basic stuff. And they got a 4-year degree, and they got the debt to claim it. They got all the loan debt that they have to pay off. So it's what you put in is what you're going to get out. And like I keep telling all my students, hey, when you go to college or you're trying to choose a college, if I may interject with this part, make sure you're picking the school that you want to go to. Not where your mom went to, not where your dad went to, not where your great grandpa went to, where you want to go to. Go to a place, and especially I always say for African American ladies, go to a place where you can get your hair done. If you're going to be in middle America, unless there's somebody that's really gifted, how are you going to hey, how are you going to get this done? Go to where you want to go. And then really ask yourself the question, if I wasn't, especially for my athletes, if I wasn't playing a sport, would I be able to survive at this school? Because if the answer is no, don't go to that school. There are so many people that I know that are transferring. There are so many people that I know that goes to that whole transfer portal. My goodness. And it's exhausting. All because they went to a school because they thought they were going to get a lot of playing time. And then when they don't get a lot of playing time, what happens? Oh, okay, I'm going to transfer. Then you go transfer. Okay, if you transfer one time, coaches are all right with that. But if they notice that this is your third time transferring, they're not going to want you. They're not going to want you. So I know I started off this conversation with, we're all chasing this math dragon, like, oh, we got to have this level and all this stuff. Okay. We all know that you are going to do the best that you can. You're going to look at the lessons. You're going to write down notes. You're going to look over those notes. And if you get to a point where you are stuck, don't wait till you're down deep. Get a tutor. I am an online tutor. I'm like, yes, I will gladly share my information. I have a website, ACG Math Tutoring. I don't know if I can put it on here because I think it might turn backwards. I might have to hit up with the mirror. Let's see. Mirror my video. Bam. Bam. Here we go. Okay. So on here, let's see if I can mirror it. I know I'm like everywhere right now. There we go. Let's see if we got that. Bam! Here we are. Okay. So, acgmathtutoring.com. I have my own math notebooks. Okay. With these math notebooks, I basically, it's Cornell note style. It gives structure. Your kids need structure. I know it's easy for you to go to the Dollar Tree and get one of those spiral notebooks that's cute with glitter and all that stuff. But the information that you're trying to put in your notebooks should be permanent. It should not be temporary. Temporary is great for spiral notebooks because when you do a spiral notebook, you want to rip pages out. That's the whole process of having a spiral notebook. You want to rip things out. You want it only there temporarily. When you're dealing with math, it's not going to be temporary. You need for it to last for the whole year. So I have my math notebooks up on there. I used to do, I did like a couple of coloring books before for empowering of young women. And I finally got my empowerment planner. I ordered this December the 10th. I got it yesterday. Craziness. Okay. So it's just a regular planner that's great for anybody that is doing girls groups. and they just want to have their notes, want to kind of read down some things or write down some things. Some of them I have some themes, and then I have a section of like 15 other blank themes as well. It gives you like a mood tracker, it gives you the summary. What are some of the things that you need for the next meeting, as well as how to support your community? Because sometimes we need to have these conversations like, how can I help build my community and everything else? So if you're interested, I might be doing a video about this soon since now it's in my in my possession. Okay. But the reason why I do these things, I do the notebooks, the reason why I made courses, there are some courses that are designed for GED if you're thinking about going back to school. I have some courses that if you're thinking about doing the ASVAT, like some of the type of algebra that is going to be on the ASVAT exam, regardless of what branch. But we all know that Navy is a little more heavy intensive with the math than all the other branches because they have their own particular tests. Then we have the acuplacer. There are some military jobs that does ask for some kind of acuplacer so they can kind of put some level in there. What do you think about Trump's VA hospital hiring freeze? Trust me, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of military stuff, but right now I'm just going to talk about education. The best way I always feel like with someone like Trump, it reminds me of one of my kids that I used to have in the class. Not to say to ignore them, but most of the time it's just going to be like, look, we just got to do what we got to do. Like right now, I'm just riding this wave. I'm not, I can't. I just can't. I already talked to two of my friends from off a ledge 2 days ago. It was a long night. It was a long night and I'm tired, but this is what I do. All right. But for academics, right now, it just seems like we are constantly chasing a level that we're trying to get to. And I just feel that we're putting way, and I do mean way too much pressure on kids now. But at the same time, we can't just have you guys just sitting on the couch doing nothing either. All right. We have to have some kind of goal. We have to have some kind of dream. We have to kind of want to move forward into something. All right. In order for that to happen, we need to really just sit down and talk about what is it around and what is it that you want to do. And guess what? Math is going to be involved in each and every part of it. So when it comes to chasing that math dragon, that means those test scores that we had back in 2017. I don't know about any other state, but I could just talk about the state of Maryland. Everyone just was losing their minds. And the way that happened was they got rid of the ECRs and BCRs. The part that the kids just never tested. They always failed because they never filled it out. They just completely skipped it. But when you pull out that stuff that you completely skip, guess what's going to happen? Your scores are going to go up. Okay? Basic math. So I just feel like, how to make this better. They're thinking about revamping the education system. I really think it needs to be revamped. There's a lot of money that's going to schools, but I don't think it's going to the kids. I really don't. Because I love how there's a lot of money that went to infrastructure and we still have sinkholes called potholes in our roads. Why is that? What's up with that? We are still trying to figure out how we can advance and how we can excel. And I understand that a lot of people just want the best for their students and best for their kids. And there's a lot of teachers that want the best for their students, but it's kind of hard to give individual because that's what a lot of parents like, well, why can't you just work with my child individually? Because I got 40 kids in a class. Or even if you have 21 kids, or even if you have seven special ed kids, that's the equivalent of 20 to 21 to 28 kids. Because we got kids with multiple personalities. We got kids that you have to watch out for. There are some kids that, whew, I don't even know how they made it to high school. But guess what? They're in my class. And guess what? I'm in charge. And guess what? I'm going to show them that I care. I want to hear your gripes. I want you to try. And if you try, we can advance. It's as simple as that. Now, one other thing that I want to talk about, especially academics for math, I don't know if we are going to change anything. The one thing that I would definitely change is to get rid of that X symbol to represent multiplication. Done. Just be done with it. Okay? Because once they get into advanced math, once they get into algebra, pre algebra, this X does not mean multiplication. The X means the unknown variable, and they use X and Y quite often because of the axes. You have the X axis that goes horizontally, and you have the Y axis that goes vertically. So we can't use the letter X to symbol multiplication because as the kids transition from elementary to middle school, they get confused. Okay, that's why when you start seeing a lot of your fifth, sixth grade, basically sixth to seventh graders, this is when they start really talking about being a little abstract. And then, like, what is the unknown variable? So first they go to multiplication with the X. Then all of a sudden they go and they have a box to represent the unknown number. And then when they go into algebra, they're using X. They're using letters of the alphabet. So we can't use X. If you're like, well, Audrey, what are we going to need? You're going to need either brackets or you're going to use a dot. That's what you use for multiplication. I think brackets will be a lot more appropriate because it will actually show the collection, how you're grouping your numbers, your terms. Okay. So when it comes to math multiplication, that's why we suck with algebra. Oh, all right, I'm going to tell you. That's why we suck with algebra because we don't know multiplication. Our kids don't know their multiplication table. I don't have a thing near me, but if you go to a multiplication table on the back of a what is a composition book, can't read it. They can't read it. Go ahead, try it. No, seriously, try it, and then message me back. Tell me like, oh my gosh, Audrey, I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, they can't read it. That's why when I have my chart, my factor chart in the back of my book, I don't care about shameless plugs. So if I have that's why I have this factor sheet. So I have these factor sheets and it goes from 1 to 200 because a lot of our kids don't understand multiplication, especially 6, 7, 8, and 9, especially those. I'm starting to see kids that are struggling with their fives. And I see a lot of students do this. And they're counting because they know that multiplication is like fast addition. That's all it is. So what they're doing is they're doing fast addition, but they're adding instead of understanding what does 5 times 7 mean? 5 groups of 7 things in each group. Is that the same as 7 groups with 5 things in them? And I would have a kid say, no, it's the same, just in case you wanted to know. Okay? So 5 times 7 and 7 times 5 is exactly the same. But I have students that struggle with that because that part of the lessons was supposed to be taught during the pandemic time. We're still recovering from the pandemic, guys. We're still recovering from that. And you're like, Audrey, that was like 5 years ago. Still recovering. We were struggling a little bit prior to that. And then this big whop of, whoo, yay! we scored well on the test. We're amazing. And then all of a sudden, how come we're not doing that again? Like, why are we not repeating? Oh, these teachers must be slacking. Like, okay, let's give them more stuff for them to do. Give them more stuff to check in. Give them more books. Okay, give them like 3, 4 books. And then we'll say, well, we need resources. Okay, let's give them textbooks. But the textbooks is beyond the kids' comprehension. It's not student friendly. Have you noticed that? And just look at some of the stuff and you ask yourself, is this really student friendly? Well, we got to get them ready for college, but they need the foundation before we can talk about advancement. It's like we keep putting the advancement before the foundation, and then you're wondering why the structure is crumbling. There's a process, guys, and our kids need time for it to marinate. They need for it to kind of like, all right, let me make some ideas. Let me do some activities, hands on activities, not just stuff on a computer. Like I used to, and here's one thing if you're a teacher or maybe a teacher friend, pass this on. I used to go to the dollar store when it was actually a dollar store, and I would buy those like 24, sometimes advancement, depending on how I was feeling, 36 piece puzzles. And I would put the puzzles together, and then I would flip the puzzle over, and I would put math problems on the back. So one, the kids are having some kind of interest and some kind of fun putting the puzzles together. Even the ones that says, I don't like puzzles. I'm like, suck it up, Buttercup, because you got to put the puzzle together, right? That's the only way you can get the work done. And then when they put the puzzle together, they have to do the math problems. And what you can do as an advancement is you can have like a sheet of paper. Okay. Anything, you could put a QR code in the center of it, and it could be like a series of answers. A couple of them will have the common mistakes in them, and then a couple of them that will be like, yes, that is the answer. And you could put like a riddle or a puzzle or something, or like maybe a little class prize or something that they can win, or just give them a reason to really kind of want to keep moving forward. But I tried to make it fun, make it more hands on because now computer screens and all this, it's okay. It was okay for the transition because we had to do it. But now, no, no, no. The kids need hands on. They need to make connection with what they're learning. So, in addition to my puzzles, I'm going to share another little secret. You know how we used to do scavenger hunts where it's like you had the question, you have the answer on the top, and then there was a question in the bottom and it leads you to another place. Okay, you can do that. Or you can like say, all right, kids, here's a card, pick a card with a question on it, had that easel paper and have them do the problems and then have it posted. And then you give the kids post-it notes and they critique each other. You have to critique at least two people in order for you before you can sit down. And then the people will go back to their posts and just say, all right, I see what they're talking about. Oh, I'm supposed to do it this way, blah, 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 blah. This is that interactive that I used to do in the classroom. When it was nice out, later on in life, I went outside. In the beginning, I was like, we're not going outside. I was one of those teachers like, no, schnell. Um, but for the most part, it was always something interactive, something at the end, watching videos and try to find the math within the video. Sometimes we started to do some of those things, but we tried to make and tried to build those connections. But sometimes we worry so much about the advancement that we forget about the foundation. And it didn't matter if it was a kid that had ADHD, if it was a kid that was a GT kid, everybody was responsible, everybody was working. So I will try to share a couple of my tips of what I used to do in the classroom because now I'm not in the classroom and I have all these great things and great ideas and everybody's like, well, Orchard, you should sell them. And I'm like, if you want them, you can have them. And one other thing, and then I'll be done, especially for teachers. Um, one, keep your head up. People, it's easy to critique other people instead of taking responsibility and action for yourself. The mere fact that you wanted to be an educator is precious. And the reason why I'm not in the classroom anymore because I got tired of the foolishness. I wanted my financial freedom. I wanted to work hard for me. And I really wanted to not only educate the people that are near me, but educate people in other countries or other parts of this world. And that's what I'm doing. I'm tutoring kids in Florida and California and Texas and Alaska. Alaska, you know? And I love the fact that I actually had a moment to educate a young man in Cairo, a young lady in Cairo, Egypt, and another person in Nairobi, Kenya. Hey, Randy. And it makes me feel good that they are doing advanced things in their lives. That's why we all became a teacher, because we wanted to do that. Thank you. We want to do things. We want to teach. We want to be a part of other people's lives. And I know there's times I get emotional because I get to see a lot of my students here on TikTok, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I'm seeing a lot of things, and I'm seeing them grow into awesome mothers and fathers and also business owners. And they are kicking ass and taking names, and I love it because that's all I ever wanted for my students. And I still do. I want the best for my students. And I know a test score does not equate to what they can do because kids are being tested so much that I'm going to be truthful. A lot of kids are just guessing. On these standard assessments, a lot of them are guessing. But then some of them will say, you know what, I really don't want to take this test, but because your pay or your, because now they put it into like our pay is a part of why. Our pay is a part of our observation. Like how the kids do on the test is based off of our observation. But when the kids aren't taking it seriously, how can like how can we? So when these things happen, it's just like some kids will be like, you know what, I really don't want to take this test, but if it's gonna involve you, Miss Audrey, I got you. I'm gonna try. I'm like, I appreciate that. But I quickly always say, don't do it for me, do it for you. Give yourself an opportunity for you not to be another statistic. And you know what type of statistic I'm talking about. I don't want you to be that type of statistic. I want you to be CEO statistic. I want you to be a game changer. In order for you to change games, you got to be in certain situations. You got to be at certain desks. You got to be at certain meetings. And I want you not only to be in that meeting, I want you to run that meeting. I've always been that type of person. My parents instilled that in me, but I hate when I see parents and kids just colliding. And I'm like, you're colliding because your kid wants to advance and you don't want them to go. We got to let them go, people. We got to let them go. And don't let test scores run your child. If you tell them, look, I want you to do the best that you can with this, I want you to study the best that you can. The way you study is not just flipping through the pages. I need for you to take your notes. If you can't take your notes home, I want you to go to that class, take pictures of your notes. And then when you come home, take a separate sheet of paper, write down some of the problems, try to solve it on that separate sheet of problem, and then use your notes that's on your camera, use it as an answer key. That's how you study math. That's how you get better. You get better through practice. You get better, and all of a sudden, when you get better, guess what? Your confidence goes up. And when your confidence goes up, no one can say nothing to you. The blessed thing. You're going to see your teacher's going to be like, wow, you're really stepping it up. And it's not just because of the teacher instruction, it's because you wanted to learn. You want to get better. And I'm going to say, as educators, you got to do the best that you can, and that's it. It doesn't matter how much time you put into it. That's what you do. If you want to be crazy like me and staying up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just trying to figure out things and watching videos on how to do this, and then using and talking to you guys in videos like this, after I do a little bit of research and talk to people and really confirm it so I don't feel like I'm an idiot making up stuff, I want to speak the truth for you. Because sometimes I feel like a lot of teachers want to say, I want to go, but go and do what? For me, tutoring was the way for me because I still wanted to teach. There's a lot of people that are like, I'm done teaching. I want to take on a membership role, or I want to take on a manager role. I want to take whatever you want to do. But here's my thing. We only got this one life. Unless you're a Buddhist and you know that you're going to come back as a cricket. You know you got this one life. Why not do it to the best of your ability? Why not research what you really want to do? Maybe you're using teaching. Maybe you're in teaching because your parents told you to do teaching. I don't know why you're still in teaching, but do you love it or do you just do it? Because if you don't love it, start researching what you want to do. Because we only got one life, and this is it. We're not, I don't know. If we come back, I don't want to repeat this life over again. I can tell you that. God and I had this discussion. Like, I'm not one of those people like, oh my God, if I was back in high school again, I'd be amazing. No, don't want to repeat that. Don't want to repeat it. But I know that a lot of my students are going through what I've already gone through. So I'm using my expertise, I'm using my ability to talk to my students. And I talk to them because since I have older kids and sometimes adults, I actually have a nice conversation with them. What is it that you want to do? And you'll be amazed how these kids are like, well, I got a sketchbook and I'm not sure if it's that good. But once they get used to you, they're like, do you want to look at my sketchbook? I'm like, sure. And your mind will be completely blown. Because a lot of people say you can't make money being a creative person. Really? Tell all these artists that's here on TikTok. Tell all these people, all these poets, all these musicians. Tell all those creative people that is running the world right now that they can't make money off of this. Tell them. We got to stop letting past people run your life. You are not a test score. You're a human being. You're creative. God has given you a gift, and it will be selfish of you not to share that gift with the world. Because if that gift is here to help people be successful, you should share that gift. And the words I'm speaking to you is the same words I speak to myself. You need to share that gift. So if my gift is pumping someone up when I know they need that pump, I'm going to do it. If that means I'm going to have to basically stay up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in order for me to get whatever need to get done, in order for you to be a better person, and it makes me feel good because I'm the one that's kind of helping you, but you're taking my knowledge and you're running with it, do it. Do it. This is the only life we have, guys. I can't worry about Trump. I'm sorry. I can't worry about him. I can't worry about everyone else. All I can do is just try to be Audrey Codner. Because I tried to be Audrey Codner Gibson and I failed. But now I need to go back to Audrey Codner, but not back the old one, the more advanced one. So that means I'm telling my students, you are more than a test score. You will understand and you will break down these things. This is why I tell tutors, you need to get out of your comfort zone and get on a live. If you want to do a live together, we'll do a live together. We'll bring back two tutors talking. A lot of people are just afraid to be in front of the camera. Well, stop being afraid. If you want us to do a live together, I'll do a live together. If you want to do some kind of collaboration that will help you feel comfortable, I will do that. Because you need to be seen. You need your gift to be out there. Because that's what you need to be. That's why you're here. There's a book, I'm not even sure if it's up there anymore. Oh, there it is. It's kind of right there. Built to Serve, right? Evan Carmichael. Take a look at him. Evan Carmichael. See, for me, I plug everybody. I'm not even getting paid for this, because I preach greatness. I want to be great. I want people to be able to grab on to greatness itself. And you can look at a lot of his stuff that's online for free on YouTube if you feel like doing that. Hey, there's a lot of these books that you see behind me. A lot of these books are on audiobooks on YouTube. Do your research. You can listen to it as you're going to the gym and working out, which will be me in the next half an hour. But when it comes to building your greatness, we're here to build to serve. We're here to learn some skills and then for us to teach other people how to do it. And it's their responsibility to put their stank on it. It's their responsibility to build themselves up. That's what they're supposed to do. But if God told us our exact purpose on this life, we would have been done a long time ago. We'd have been bored, like, all right, I did what I need to do. I'm done. No. No. That's why he's got to keep you on the edge. That's why sometimes you got these little hiccups. And trust me, last year I had a lot of hiccups. But guess what? I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still talking. I'm still preaching. That's what I try to do. So, overall, because I'm going to wrap this up, because I don't really like to, I'm getting close to an hour. I didn't think I was going to be on here this long, but here we are. You know me, Chatty Cathy. But I hope you get something from this. And I know I'm probably going to cut some of the clips so you can get some of the general gist of it. But one thing is, we keep chasing after these math scores, and they all know that we will never really achieve it. So, what we can do is, I'm going to say, hey, you do the best that you can, you do the advancement that you can, and you tell me what you want to do. What is it that you love to do? What is it that you love to do, even if you weren't going to get paid? For me, I love talking to people. I never knew. I was a quiet kid growing up. So I know a lot of my friends that see me, they're like, Audrey, I didn't know you could speak so eloquently. Yes, I can. But when I was younger, I didn't have much to say. What was I going to talk about? Right? I didn't do anything. But when it comes down to having your voice, sharing your expertise, as small as you may think it is, it might be something ginormous for someone else. You may think of like, oh, all I did was make nails or just put nails together. And you might have a style that no one's ever seen before. You never know until you put it out there. That's why a lot of people love TikTok, because you can just put it out there. You can just start whenever you want to start. You want to talk about something, you can just go ahead and talk. Oh, I'm getting that puzzle piece. Okay? If you ever want to talk, you can just go ahead and talk. And a lot of people love that. But you have to figure out, take a moment. Just take a moment and write down. And that's why I'm like, sometimes I journal. Take a moment, write down. What are some of the things? What are some of your ideas? Get some of those ideas. Put it down. Get it out of your head. Habakkuk 2. Write it, make it plain. Everyone talks about manifesting, but you still need to write it down. You can buy the book that's on TikTok Shop, or you can just buy a journal and sit down and really be truthful with your thoughts. What is it that you desire? You want more money. Okay, it's not just going to fall out of the sky. What are you going to do? You can either do one or the other. Let's try to keep it legal, people, okay? So when it comes down to what is it that you want, I want to make more money. You got to go deeper. because there's so much stuff that you need to do. And this is my mindset with tutoring. My mindset is I want to help as many people as I can, and the money is going to come. And guess what? The money's coming, and I'm making it, and I'm doing it, and I'm enjoying it. But I know that I want to help other people build up their tutoring business. So I know it's kind of hard because on TikTok, some people are here and some people aren't. I am in the running of the 2025 Baltimore, okay, local business person of the year, and it's through Alignable. So if you are a business person and you want to do more business to business interaction, trust me, you can connect with people throughout, like nationally, and maybe even internationally if you want to take it that extent. You can talk to people. I'm in second place right now. I'm behind by 3 votes. So I am willing, I think I have 5 votes to give to other people. But if you are affiliated with Alignable and you want to vote for me, I would greatly appreciate it because I feel like I want to win. Not just because I want to be cocky, like I really feel that the things that I'm doing is not just for me. I feel like I just want to like to tell my students like because of what the work I did with you and you passing the word on to other people, and that's how I got most of my clientele was word of mouth. You guys are the ones that's helping me grow. And I think by seeing this, this is something that will be just really amazing for people to see. So I would love to be able to. I think everything's going to close out in probably March. But if you do have Alignable and you want to do more interactions with more business to business, it's almost like LinkedIn, but a little chill. Because LinkedIn, it just seems like it's very like rigid. But when it comes to like Alignable, it's like I can have like a meeting with somebody that's making like 7 to 8 figures and he's straight chill. And I'm like, yo, how'd you make your money? He was like, sewage. I'm like, oh. Another person's like, I own a hotel or I own a motel. Or there was a person that I met and he connected with me. He's like, you should talk to this guy that I know, Mitchell. And I'm like, okay. I'm sitting here talking with this man, Mitchell. And guess what? Mitchell placed third in the Olympics running against Usain Bolt. I'm over here talking to an Olympian. And then 5 seconds later, I'm sitting here having a meeting, and oh God, what's her name? Debbie. All of a sudden, I can't remember his name. Um, the Olympic swimmer. I can see his face. If you know who I'm talking about, famous Olympic Phelps. There you go, Debbie Phelps. She's really into education, and I was in a meeting with her. I'm like, this is cool. So it's like it's great to see all these different connections and having all these great conversations with people. But in order for you to grow your business and grow just being around, you have to communicate with people. You can't just stay in the comforts of your own home and wait for people to come to you. It's not going to work because the people that do come to you, they may not stay around. So it's just a matter of you have to put yourself out there. Hey, lady, you have to put yourself out there. So that's the reason why I know a lot of people will feel like, oh, I'm an imposter and all. No, you're not an imposter. Okay. Remember, we talked about this before, but I'll bring it up again. When you feel the definition of an imposter, and I have it on my wall to remind myself each and every time that a person who pretends to be someone else in order to deceive others, especially for fraudulent gain. And I always put a question on there. Sounds like you? No? Then get back to work. That's exactly what I have written down on there. And I go through that with myself once in a while because sometimes we get so caught up with trying to compare ourselves with other people that we start to forget who we are. We start to forget what our goals are. Just because you're in the same type of arena doesn't mean that you're going to play the game exactly the same. And both of you guys can win. Both of you can win. because fully booked for some people will be like six students. Fully booked for me is 24. And right now I'm at 21. And I'm wondering why is it 24? Because I'm like, wow. And but at the same time, I love and I appreciate to God and to everyone, to each and every one of these students that I have. And I am so welcoming for those that don't even know me and they want to get to know me. And I greatly appreciate this. But I'm about to kind of wrap this up. Oh, thank you. So I'm about to wrap this up. I just really and truly wanted you guys to know that when it comes to education, you want to push your kids, but not to the point of exhaustion. Okay. For kids, you need to figure out, and I know it's hard because kids change their minds every 2.2 seconds of what they want to do. And I think by them trying a lot of things out and giving them certain grace, just because they turn 18 doesn't mean that they know everything. They really do not. They don't understand the pitfalls. They don't understand how to do their own taxes. They don't understand why we have to, when you start a business, why do I have to do estimated quarterly tax payments? There's a lot of things. But my thing is give yourself grace. Don't let everything that's happening recently take you out. You have a God given gift that people need to experience. So don't be selfish and keep it to yourself. Share it with the world. We need to see it. Don't be embarrassed. Oh, people are going to laugh at me. Screw them. Let them kick rocks. Okay? You want to get it done? You love doing it? Go ahead and put yourself out there. And it's just like I told another friend of mine who I love dearly. And I said, you need to let your music speak for you. Let your heart and soul speak through the music. You have to let your heart and soul speak through the music. Yeah, well, I know I was about to go on your live, but I was like, I was just about to get on my live. Um, so you really have to speak through it. So when it comes to that whole chasing the dragon, hey, we're all trying to chase after what happened in 2017. Okay, those test scores, remember, it's not the same test. So you're not going to get the same results. But when you try to go after, you're trying to better yourself, go do it. Go and be the better version of yourself possible. That's all we ever want. That's all ever God wants. He just wants you to be the best version of you. He created you. He's not going to leave you alone. He's there for all purposes. And don't forget that. And for those that do not believe, if you believe in the energy, you believe in the universe, trust me, be thankful, be grateful, and just make sure that everything you do with the purest of heart. That's all it is. And you will be blessed. Trust me. If I can survive 2024, which was probably the darkest part of my life, and that, I mean, that's speaking volumes, because my senior year in college was not good, was not good at all. And if I can survive that, and I'll still be here talking to you, and still want to give you grace and give you love and give you understanding, you're going to be okay. Don't let all the stuff mess with your head and mess with your heart. Okay? It's image. Okay? So I am going to clean up. I have a tutoring client in about 15 minutes. Yeah, I know. You gotta love time zones. You gotta love time zones. But definitely, Evelyn, I would love to sit and chat with you sometime soon. Go ahead and message me, like, so we can get our schedules together. And you're always a great supporter. Thank you so much for all the people that came in. I'll be sending you a message to say thank you anyway. Um, because I really and truly, I'm a type of person that is very transparent. And if you are thinking about doing online tutoring, I am one of those type of people. I like to do personalized tutoring or business plans. Like I want to hear what you want to do with your tutoring business. And so we can come and brainstorm and come up with some ideas, and I want you to take it and run with it. That's what I do. I like to do that in addition to tutoring my own students. And then in the midst of that, if you are thinking about doing any kind of, you want to get involved with the notebooks, plug. Okay, if you want to get with the notebooks, or if you have anybody that knows a girls group that would love to get a hand on my empowerment planner, it's great for girls just to get their thoughts out. And as well, let's see if I can come. Oh, we're not in January anymore. And then I also designed it for the month of February. Okay, so we have like the 12 months in the back of it, and I also have coloring books. All that's on Amazon. But if you want to just sample it before you buy the official book, because I know next year I want everyone, and this is my hope and my dream, and I have it and I'm manifesting it. I want everyone to have, especially if they're seventh grade and up, to have a copy of this math notebook because everyone needs some structure, right? So, and this is the best part. If you do well with taking your notes at the end of the school year or even at the end of the semester, you can sell it. People are buying notes. People are buying people's notes. Like some of the, I don't know, you can't see it right here, but for Facebook, you probably could. I have a whole bunch of spiral notebooks for when I was in the classroom. And when I was in the classroom, I used to take notes. Literally, I had like 4 classes and I will write it down, just like how you do, Evelyn. And I would write my notes down. I can sell those notes. I don't know why I'm not, but I think I will be soon. All right. But I will sell those notes. Just how I just organize it. I use a lot of color, a little color frame. But if you want any of those, I have it on my website. I know I'm covering my face. So acgmathtutoring.com. You can go there. I have the books that are there. There's like digital copies of that. I have courses for people that are taking the GED, ASVAB, Accuplacer, or they just need some more assistance. So you have these courses, and it's like on demand. You can definitely do everything. And then you all you have to do is just contact me. We set up a date and a time, and then I can tutor you for 45 up to an hour. And that's part of it's like a membership. It's like really $57 a month. And you can contact me anytime. Well, maybe not like 2 o'clock in the morning, but you can contact me and then we could come up with a date and a time where we actually sit down and I say, all right, you're doing awesome with this. Okay, let's work on this. Okay, let's do this. Let's do some practice tests. And we could do all those to get you ready for those exams. And then on top of it, just tutoring in general. I have small groups. I do individuals, but I also do small groups. If they're in the same school, possibly the same class, the same teacher, I do like a group rate for that. So these are the things that I like to do. And me in education, and if you need someone that is thinking about doing sports in education, trust me. I used to play professional basketball overseas. Okay, I'm inducted into not one but 2 Hall of Fames. I'm inducted in the St. Joe's Hall of Fame and also the Big Five Hall of Fame back in the A10. I know. You never know, right? You just didn't know all these things about me. But I understand maybe not a whole lot of thing about the NIL. It's a whole thing. But I do understand when kids are trying to, or young people, excuse me, are trying to make that transition from being a high school student to being a college student. It's a different world. It's a business. So if you're thinking about going and playing, I played D1. If you're thinking about playing D1, D2, or even D3, D3, you don't really have too many scholarships. All you have is academic scholarships. But I always say, make sure you go where your heart tells you. I know your parents are like, I want you to go to Michigan because I went to Michigan. But do you like Michigan? No? All right, then don't go to Michigan. You better figure out another way because you want to go where you're going to feel comfortable, where you can network and you can actually grow, not only mentally, but also socially. And that's what you're doing. You're making that transition from being an immature college kid, high school kid trying to sneak out to being an advanced college kid that's about to go into this world and being able to be successful. All right. So I think one day I might come on here live and just chit chat and share the basketball side of me. There's so many different things. So there is a basketball side of me. There is all these other sides, multiple sides of Audrey Codner that some people get to see and some people don't get to see. But when it comes to my athletes, I think I should come on here a little bit more and be able to preach a little bit more about that and what are some of the pitfalls. Because I'll be very truthful and very frank. Um, and just some of the things that is also awesome about being an athlete. And sometimes they call them fans, and short is short for fanatics. And sometimes fanatics just don't know where to cut it off. Let's just put it that way. All right. So have an amazing evening. I got 10 minutes to get myself ready for my tutoring. And if anything, if you need me, go ahead, DM me. It's Audrey Codner. You got me on Facebook, you got me on Instagram, you got me on TikTok, LinkedIn, and also my YouTube channels. Channels, plural. So if you ever want to take a look, you can go ahead and take a look. But stay tuned for more videos, and I will see you guys sometime soon. Oh, actually, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1:15 Eastern Standard Time on TikTok as I'm breaking down more of how to simplify radicals and how to do operations with radicals. All right. Have a good night, guys.